Admiral Hyunwoo stood in front of the massive viewing screen in his command center. The stars looked the same as always, cold and distant. But today was different. Today, his scientists had found something new in the galaxy, something that would change everything, though he did not know it yet. "Admiral, the report is ready," said Bo-Ra, his chief scientist. She walked into the room carrying a thick data pad. Her blue skin showed the typical patterns of the Velkari race, and her forearms moved with practiced efficiency. Hyunwoo turned away from the stars. "Tell me about these new creatures. What did you call them again?" "Humans, sir. They live on the third planet of a system they call Sol. We have been watching them for 3 months now." Bo-Ra touched her data pad, and images appeared on the main screen. The Admiral looked at the strange beings. They had only 2 arms and 2 legs, which seemed very limiting. Their skin came in different colors, but none had the beautiful patterns that marked intelligence in proper species. "They look soft and weak. What can they do?" Hyunwoo asked. "Not much, Admiral. They are still very primitive. They use chemical rockets to move in space. These rockets are slow and use too much fuel. They have not even reached their own moon properly. Most of their world still fights with metal weapons and explosive devices." Tae-min, a young officer, stepped forward. "Admiral, if I may ask something?" Hyunwoo nodded. He liked Tae-min because the young officer asked good questions. "Bo-Ra, you said they have not reached their moon properly, but our sensors show they did land there several times. They also have artificial objects flying around their planet." Bo-Ra made a dismissive sound. "A few lucky trips, nothing more. Their space program is tiny compared to ours. Look at this data." She showed numbers on the screen. "They have perhaps 50 objects in space around their world. We have thousands in each of our systems." "But why do they have so many different languages?" Tae-min asked. "Our databases show they have over 6,000 different ways of speaking." "Because they are not united," Hyunwoo said with certainty. "Primitive species always fight among themselves. They waste energy on small conflicts instead of working together. This makes them weak," Bo-Ra agreed. "Exactly, Admiral. They have over 200 separate governments on one small planet. They cannot even agree on simple things like how to measure distance or temperature. Some groups still live in caves and hunt animals with simple tools." The Admiral walked back to the viewing screen. In his 100 years of life, he had seen many primitive species. They all followed the same pattern. First, they would be afraid when the Velkari Empire arrived. Then they would try to fight with their simple weapons. Finally, they would surrender and become useful workers for the Empire. "What about their technology?" he asked. "Very basic, sir. They burn fossil fuels for energy instead of using fusion power. Their fastest ships use chemical reactions, which is incredibly wasteful. They have no energy shields, no artificial gravity, and no faster-than-light communication." Tae-min looked at his own data pad. "But Admiral, our long-range sensors detected some unusual energy readings from their system last week." Bo-Ra laughed. "Probably one of their power plants exploding. They have accidents all the time because their technology is so crude." "Maybe," Tae-min said quietly. But he did not look convinced. Hyunwoo made his decision. "These humans will be classified as Class D primitives. We will send a standard subjugation fleet in 6 months. That should give them time to develop slightly, making them more useful as workers." "How many ships should we send?" asked the fleet coordinator. 10 ships should be more than enough. Maybe 5. We do not want to completely destroy their infrastructure. Primitive species can be very useful if managed correctly." Bo-Ra nodded. "Shall I prepare the standard first contact package? The one we use for pre-industrial civilizations?" "Yes, but modify it slightly. These humans seem to have basic space technology, so we should acknowledge that. We do not want them to feel completely hopeless immediately." Tae-min raised his hand again. "Admiral, what if they are more advanced than we think? Some of their communication signals are very complex." Hyunwoo smiled at the young officer's caution. "Tae-min, I appreciate your careful thinking. But look at the evidence. They still use wheels for transportation on their planet's surface. They burn dead plants and animals for energy. Their space program has barely left their own world." "But sir, complexity in communication might indicate—" "It indicates they like to talk too much," Bo-Ra interrupted. "Primitive species often develop complex languages to make up for their lack of real technology." "It is a known pattern," the Admiral agreed. In all his years of service, he had never seen a primitive species surprise the Empire. The Velkari had superior technology, superior organization, and superior intelligence. They had conquered 47 different species over the past 3 centuries. Humans would be number 48. Begin preparation for the subjugation mission, Hyunwoo ordered. I want everything ready in exactly 6 months. Use the standard approach. Overwhelming force demonstration, followed by surrender demands, followed by integration into the Empire. As the meeting ended, most officers left to begin their preparations. But Taemin stayed behind, still looking at his datapad. Something troubles you, young officer? The Admiral asked. Sir, I have been studying human entertainment broadcasts. They tell stories about war constantly. Not just stories about their own wars, but imaginary wars against aliens from space. They seem to think about fighting extraterrestrial enemies quite often. Hyunwoo laughed. Of course they do. Primitive species always fear what they do not understand. They probably imagine monsters coming from the stars because they cannot imagine advanced civilizations like ours. Yes, sir. But their stories are very detailed. They describe weapons and tactics and strategies. Some of these ideas are quite sophisticated. Fantasy, nothing more. Primitive minds often create elaborate fiction to escape their simple reality. Taemin nodded and left. But as he walked down the corridor, he continued studying the human data. Something felt wrong about dismissing these creatures so easily. Their industrial output was actually quite impressive for their technological level. Their population was enormous compared to most species at similar development stages, and their communication networks covered their entire planet with remarkable efficiency. Most concerning of all, some of their fictional stories about space warfare contained ideas that even Velkari military theorists had not considered. How could a primitive species imagine tactics that advanced civilizations had not developed? Taemin decided to continue his research quietly. Perhaps he was wrong, and humans truly were as simple as they appeared. But if he was right, the Empire might be making a very dangerous mistake. Meanwhile, Admiral Hyunwoo returned to his quarters, completely confident in his assessment. In 6 months, the Velkari Empire would have a new workforce, and humanity would learn their proper place in the galaxy. It would be simple, clean, and efficient. He had no idea that at that very moment human scientists were putting finishing touches on technologies that would change everything. 3 months had passed since Admiral Hyunwoo ordered the preparation for humanity's subjugation. Deep in space, far from any star, the Velkari monitoring station hung in the darkness like a metal spiderweb. The station's job was simple. Watch for any unusual activity in this part of the galaxy. Ginny sat at her sensor station, drinking her morning nutrition fluid. She had been working the night shift for 2 years now, and nothing interesting ever happened. The sensors tracked asteroids, measured cosmic radiation, and recorded the slow dance of distant stars. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Today felt different, though she could not explain why. Anything new on the sensors? Asked Commander Dong-hyun as he entered the main control room. He was older than most station personnel, with gray patterns on his blue skin that showed his years of experience. Nothing significant, sir. The usual background noise from the Helix Nebula, some minor asteroid movement in Sector 7, and... Jin'e stopped. She looked more carefully at her displays. And what? Sir, I'm getting an unusual energy reading. Very faint, but moving fast. Dong-hyun walked over to her station. Show me. Ginny pointed at a small blip on her screen. It appeared about 10 minutes ago. The computer initially classified it as sensor noise, but the pattern is too regular for that. What kind of energy signature? That is the strange part, sir. It looks like a fusion drive, but the efficiency readings are impossible. According to this data, whatever is producing this signal is getting nearly perfect energy conversion. Dong-hyun frowned. Perfect fusion efficiency was theoretical. Even Velkari ships, the most advanced in known space, only achieved 85% efficiency. Run a diagnostic on the sensors. They might be malfunctioning. Ginny's fingers moved across her controls. Minutes passed. Diagnostics complete, sir. All sensors are functioning normally. Then it must be an error in the computer analysis. What else could explain impossible readings? But even as he said this, Dong-hyun felt uneasy. He had been in space for 30 years, and he had learned to trust unusual sensor readings more than computer explanations. Sir, the object is getting closer. And bigger. How much bigger? Ginny checked her readings twice before answering. Commander, if these sensors are correct, that object is massive. At least 3 times larger than our biggest battleships. That cannot be right. Check again. I have checked 5 times, sir. The computer confirms the readings. Dong Hyun called So Young, his communications officer. Are you detecting any signals from that direction? So Young had been quietly listening to space communications for the past hour. Most of the signals were routine. Merchant ships reporting their positions, military patrols sending status updates, and the usual background chatter of a civilized galaxy. Sir, I am picking up something unusual. The signals are not in any language our computers recognize. Unknown aliens? Possibly, sir. But the transmission method is strange. They are using a form of radio communication, but it is incredibly complex. Multiple frequencies, sophisticated encoding, and error correction methods that are more advanced than our own. Dong Hyun felt his stomach tighten. Are they trying to contact us? No, sir. These appear to be internal communications. Ship-to-ship coordination, I think. Ships? Multiple ships? Yes, Commander. At least a dozen separate sources. Jin-A looked up from her sensors. Sir, the energy signatures just increased dramatically. Whatever they are doing, they are powering up. Weapons? I do not know. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our databases. Commander Dong Hyun made a decision. Send an immediate alert to Fleet Command. Unknown vessels approaching our space with advanced technology. So Young began transmitting the alert, but then she stopped. Commander, the unknown ships are sending a message. To us? Yes, sir. In perfect Velkari language. The main screen activated and text appeared. Attention Velkari Monitoring Station. This is Captain Hanseo of the United Earthship Prometheus. We request permission to approach for peaceful diplomatic contact. We come in peace and wish to establish communication with your government. The control room fell silent. Dong Hyun read the message 3 times before speaking. Earthships? But Earth is the human homeworld. Humans cannot build ships like this. Jin-A checked her sensors again. Commander, the lead ship is slowing down. It will reach our position in 6 hours at current speed. How is it slowing down? I do not see any reverse thrust. I do not know, sir. The energy patterns suggest they are using some form of gravitic manipulation, but that technology does not exist. So Young raised her hand. Sir, they are sending more messages. Technical specifications, crew manifests, and what appears to be diplomatic credentials. What do the specifications say? The lead ship is called UES Prometheus. Length 800 meters. Crew 200, armament. So Young paused. Sir, they list weapons systems I have never heard of. Plasma cannons, kinetic barriers, and something called point defense arrays. Dong Hyun felt sweat forming on his forehead despite the cool air in the station. Are you certain these are from the primitive humans we classified 3 months ago? The messages identify them as representatives of the United Earth government, sir. Impossible. Our intelligence reports showed humans barely capable of reaching their own moon. Jin-A interrupted. Commander, I am detecting 12 more ships arriving in the area. They appear to be escorting the first vessel. 12 more? Yes, sir. Similar energy signatures, but smaller. They are maintaining a defensive formation around the lead ship. So Young continued monitoring communications. Sir, they are coordinating their movements with incredible precision. Their communication protocols are more sophisticated than our own military networks. Get me a direct channel to Admiral Hyunwoo immediately. Yes, sir. While So Young established the communication link, Dong Hyun studied the approaching ships on his tactical display. The formation was perfect. Too perfect. Each ship maintained exact distances from the others, responding to course changes with instantaneous precision. Admiral Hyunwoo on the line, sir. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. He looked annoyed at being interrupted during his rest period. Commander, this better be important. Admiral, we have a situation. The humans have arrived. What humans? The subjugation mission is not scheduled for 3 months. Sir, they came to us. 13 ships, advanced technology requesting diplomatic contact. Hyunwoo's expression changed from annoyance to confusion. That is impossible. Humans do not have advanced technology. Sir, I am sending you our sensor data now. Dong Hyun nodded to Jin-A, who transmitted all their readings to Fleet Command. They waited while the Admiral reviewed the information. These readings must be wrong. Check your equipment. We have checked everything multiple times, sir. The ships are real, and they are human. Commander, I am looking at intelligence reports filed just last week. Humans are still using chemical rockets. They have no interstellar capability. Sir, the lead ship will be here in 5 hours. What are your orders? Admiral Hyunwoo was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. Monitor their approach and record everything. I am sending a fleet to your position immediately. How many ships, sir? All of them. The communication ended, leaving the 3 Velkari officers alone with their screens and sensors. Outside their station, 13 impossible ships continued their approach through the darkness of space. Ginny watched her instruments carefully. The energy readings from the human ships continued to climb, but not in a threatening way. It was more like they were charging their systems for some specific purpose. Commander, she said quietly, I think they are preparing to stop exactly at the edge of our territorial space. How could they know where our borders are? I do not know, sir, but their course corrections are too precise to be accidental. So Young looked up from her communications panel. Sir, they are still talking to each other. The conversations are casual, almost friendly. Like this is routine for them. What are they saying? I cannot understand most of it. They use technical terms our computers cannot translate. But I heard one of them mention something about first contact protocols and diplomatic packages. Dong-hyun realized that everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. Completely wrong. These were not primitive creatures struggling with basic technology. These were representatives of an advanced civilization that had been hiding its true capabilities. But why? And what did they want? In a few hours, they would find out. The emergency meeting room at Velkari High Command had never seen so many worried faces. Supreme Commander Sung-ho sat at the head of the long table, looking at reports that made no sense. Around him, the Empire's best military minds struggled to understand how their intelligence could have been so wrong. Let me understand this correctly, Sung-ho said slowly. 3 months ago, we classified humans as primitive. Today, they have ships that can match our best technology? Chief Military Strategist Mi-young nodded grimly. Yes, sir. Commander Woo Jin's report is clear. The human vessel demonstrated defensive capabilities that exceed our current systems. And weapons? Unknown, sir. They only use defensive systems. But if their weapons match their defenses, Sung-ho did not need her to finish. If human weapons were as advanced as their shields and point defense, the Empire faced a serious problem. How many ships do they have? He asked. We do not know, sir. Our monitoring station detected 13 ships initially, but long-range sensors suggest there may be more in the area. Lead engineer Jae-won raised his hand. Sir, I have analyzed the technical data from the encounter. The human ship's performance suggests technology we do not understand. Explain. Their point defense systems fired 43 shots in less than 2 seconds, with perfect accuracy. Our best computers cannot calculate targeting solutions that quickly. Better computers? Possibly, sir. But more likely, they use completely different targeting methods. Methods we have never seen before. Sung-ho felt a headache beginning. What about their industrial capacity? How many ships could they build? Mi-young consulted her datapad. Sir, that is another problem. Our intelligence estimated their industrial output based on visible factories and energy consumption. But if they can build ships like this, they have hidden facilities, Sung-ho finished. How much of their capability have we missed? We do not know, sir. Before anyone could respond, an aide entered the room quickly. Sir, urgent message. The humans have requested a formal diplomatic meeting. Where? Here, sir. At High Command. They are sending an ambassador. Sung-ho looked around the table. How soon? 6 hours, sir. They are already en route. 1 ship? No, sir. 15 ships. They call it a diplomatic escort. The room fell silent. 15 ships was more than an escort. It was a small fleet. Sir, Mi-young said carefully, should we consider this a threat? Before Sung-ho could answer, sensors detected new arrivals in the system. The main screen showed tactical displays that made everyone's blood run cold. Sir, 43 additional human ships just entered our space. Combat formation? No, sir. Defensive formation around their diplomatic vessels. Sung-ho realized the humans were demonstrating their capabilities without being aggressive. They were showing strength while maintaining peaceful intentions. It was sophisticated diplomacy. Very well. We will meet with their ambassador. But prepare our own fleet for immediate deployment. All ships, sir. All ships. 6 hours later, Ambassador Dayoon walked into the Velkari High Command meeting room with confidence that surprised everyone present. She was younger than expected, with dark hair and calm eyes that seemed to see everything. Supreme Commander Sung-ho, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Sung-ho studied the human carefully. Ambassador Da-Yun, your arrival has raised many questions. I am here to answer them, sir. Good. First question, why did you lie to us about your technological capabilities? Da-Yun smiled. We did not lie, Commander. We simply showed you what you expected to see. Explain. Your intelligence teams observed our civilian space program and assumed it represented our full capabilities. We did not correct this assumption. Mi-young leaned forward. You deliberately deceived us. We protected ourselves, Da-Un replied calmly. When an unknown empire appears in our area and begins studying us, we naturally want to understand their intentions before revealing our true capabilities. What are your true capabilities? Sung-ho asked. Da-Yun activated a portable projector that filled the room with three-dimensional displays. We have industrial facilities in 47 star systems. Our space fleet consists of over 8,000 vessels of various sizes. Our technology includes faster-than-light communication, advanced artificial intelligence, and weapons systems designed through 8,000 years of continuous warfare experience. 8,000 years of warfare? Jae-won asked. Humans have been fighting wars since we developed agriculture, Engineer Jae-won. We have learned to be very good at it. The Valkyrie officials looked at each other with growing concern. 8,000 years of warfare experience was more than the entire Valkyrie civilization had existed. What do you want from us? Sung-ho asked. Peace, Commander. Mutual benefit. Trade agreements. Cultural exchange, but if we refuse? Da-Yun's expression remained pleasant, but her voice carried a subtle warning. Then we will leave you alone and hope you extend the same courtesy to us. You would not fight us? Commander, we prefer not to fight anyone, but we are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. Mi-young studied the human displays. These fleet numbers cannot be accurate. Our intelligence would have detected such a large space presence. Your intelligence is excellent at detecting what it knows how to look for, Da-Un replied. But human technology developed along different paths than yours. We use stealth systems, distributed manufacturing, and mobile platforms that are difficult to detect with conventional sensors. Jae-won was staring at technical specifications on the display. Ambassador, these power output numbers are impossible. Impossible or just different from your approach? What do you mean? Engineer, your technology focuses on individual powerful components. Very elegant, very efficient. Human technology focuses on systems that work together. Many smaller components coordinating to achieve greater total performance. Like your point defense systems? Exactly. Instead of one perfect targeting computer, we use hundreds of simple computers working together. The result is faster and more reliable than any single system could be. Sung-ho was beginning to understand. You use different engineering philosophy. Yes, Commander. Where you build perfect individual parts, we build perfect cooperation between imperfect parts. And this approach works for entire fleets? It works for our entire civilization, sir. Mi-young looked worried. Ambassador, if your capabilities are as extensive as you claim, why reveal them now? You could have maintained the deception. Because deception only works temporarily, strategist Mi-young. Eventually, the truth emerges. We prefer honest relationships, even if honesty leads to conflict, especially then. Clear understanding prevents misunderstandings that could lead to unnecessary wars. Sung-ho made a decision. Ambassador, what exactly are you proposing? A mutual defense and trade agreement, Commander. Your people have advanced materials science and energy storage technology that could benefit humanity. We have manufacturing techniques and coordination systems that could benefit the Valkyrie Empire. What about territorial boundaries? We have no interest in Valkyrie territory, sir. Human expansion follows a different pattern. We prefer to build new habitats rather than conquer existing ones. Jae-won looked up from his analysis. Sir, their technological specifications suggest they could easily defeat our military if they chose to. Is that a threat? Mi-young asked sharply. Da-Yun shook her head. It is a fact, strategist. But facts are not threats. We have the capability to defend ourselves, and we have chosen to use that capability only for defense. How do we know you will not change your minds? The same way we know you will not attack us without warning, Commander. Through continued communication, mutual benefit and trust built over time. Sung-ho considered the proposal carefully. The Valkyrie Empire had built its power through military conquest, but this situation was completely different. The humans had revealed capabilities that made conquest impossible, while offering partnership that could benefit both civilizations. Ambassador, I need time to consider your proposal. Of course, Commander. Take all the time you need. Will your ships remain in our space during these deliberations? Only our diplomatic vessels, sir. The rest of our fleet will withdraw to neutral space. And if we decide against your proposal, then we will respect your decision and return to our own territory. As the meeting ended, Sung Ho watched the human ambassador leave with the same confidence she had shown when arriving. She had revealed capabilities that could destroy the Empire, offered partnership instead of conquest, and done it all with complete calm. For the first time in his long career, Sung Ho realized that the Velkari Empire was no longer the most powerful force in the galaxy, but perhaps that was not necessarily a bad thing. Sir, Mi Young said quietly, what are your thoughts? I think, strategist, that we are about to enter a very different era. Should we accept their proposal? Sung Ho looked at the displays still showing human fleet positions. Hundreds of ships waited quietly in space, demonstrating restraint that was more impressive than any show of force. I think we should seriously consider it. The alternative might be much worse. Outside, Dawn walked to her shuttle with satisfaction. The meeting had gone exactly as human strategists had predicted. The Velkari were intelligent enough to recognize superior force and wise enough to prefer partnership over conflict. The Velkari military outpost on Kepler 442b looked like a small city from space. Hundreds of buildings spread across the planet's surface, connected by roads and protected by energy shields. This was where the Empire tested new weapons and trained their best soldiers. Commander Wu Jin stood in the central command tower, watching the massive human ship approach through the planet's atmosphere. He had conducted first contact with 17 different species during his career. He knew exactly how these meetings should go. Sir, the human vessel is requesting permission to land, reported Lieutenant Hyojin from her communication station. Denied. Tell them to prepare for boarding. We will conduct this meeting on their ship, as is proper protocol. Wu Jin had learned that taking control of first contact situations was essential. Primitive species needed to understand immediately who was in charge. Boarding their ships and conducting meetings in their own space showed Velkari superiority without having to use weapons. Sir, they are refusing boarding permission. Wu Jin looked surprised. Refusing? Explain to them that this is standard procedure. Hyojin relayed the message, then listened to the response. Sir, they say they prefer to meet on neutral ground. They are offering to set up a temporary meeting space on the planet's surface, exactly halfway between our base and their landing site. Unacceptable. We do not negotiate with primitives about meeting locations. Should I tell them that, sir? No. Tell them they have 10 minutes to prepare for boarding, or we will consider their refusal an act of hostility. Hyojin sent the message and waited for a reply. When it came, her expression showed confusion and concern. Sir, they acknowledge our message but respectfully maintain their position. They say their diplomatic protocols do not allow foreign military personnel aboard their vessels during first contact situations. Wu Jin felt anger rising. Do they understand who they are talking to? We are the Velkari Empire. We have conquered dozens of species. Sir, they say they are aware of our military capabilities and respect them greatly. However, they cannot compromise on security procedures. Security procedures? From a species that barely understands fusion power? The commander made his decision. Prepare a boarding shuttle. Full military escort. If they will not cooperate, we will demonstrate why cooperation is in their best interests. Hyojin hesitated. Sir, should we not wait for Admiral Hyunwoo's arrival? He will be here in 3 hours. 3 hours is too long. These humans need to learn their place immediately. As the Velkari boarding shuttle approached the human ship, Wu Jin studied his target through the viewer. The vessel was larger than expected, with a design unlike anything he had seen before. Where Velkari ships were elegant and smooth, this human ship looked brutal and practical. Every surface seemed designed for function rather than beauty. Sir, the human ship is scanning us, reported the shuttle pilot. Let them scan. They will see superior Velkari technology. But inside the human ship UES Defiance, Captain Junho was studying the Velkari shuttle with growing concern. His tactical officer had just finished analyzing the alien vessel's approach. Captain, they are coming in fast and aggressive. This does not look like a peaceful diplomatic approach. Their communications indicated they want to board us for the meeting. Sir, our protocols are clear. No foreign military vessels board our ships without extensive security arrangements. Junho nodded. He had read the intelligence reports about Velkari first contact procedures. They like to intimidate new species by taking control of meetings immediately, but humans had learned long ago that showing weakness in first contact often led to permanent disadvantage. Open a channel to the approaching shuttle. Channel open. Sir, Velkari shuttle, this is Captain Junho. I must ask you to halt your approach. We cannot allow boarding at this time. The response came quickly and with obvious anger. Human vessel, you will prepare for immediate boarding or face the consequences. Junho looked at his tactical officer, who nodded grimly. Velkari shuttle, we regret that boarding is not possible. We suggest meeting on the planet's surface as previously proposed. You have 30 seconds to comply or we will consider you hostile. Sir, the tactical officer said quietly, they are charging weapons. Junho made his decision. Raise shields. Activate point defense systems. Do not target their shuttle, but make it clear we are prepared to defend ourselves. Shields up, sir. Point defense online. The Velkari shuttle pilot was the first to notice the change. Commander, the human ship just activated some kind of energy barrier around itself. Wu Jin looked at his instruments. The readings showed an energy field surrounding the human vessel, but the power levels seemed impossible. What kind of barrier? Unknown, sir, but it is incredibly strong. Stronger than our main base shields. Impossible. Scan again. Sir, I am also detecting multiple weapon systems coming online. The computer cannot identify the weapon types, but the energy signatures are massive. Wu Jin felt the first hint of uncertainty. Continue approach. They are bluffing. But as the shuttle got closer, more surprises appeared. The human ship's surface suddenly showed dozens of small turrets, each one tracking the Velkari shuttle with precise movements. Sir, those weapons are locked onto us. How many weapons? I count 47 individual targeting systems, sir. All focused on our shuttle. Wu Jin stared at the readings. 47 weapons on one ship? Even Velkari battleships only carried 12 main weapons. Sir, incoming message from the human ship. Put it through. Captain Junho's voice was calm and professional. Velkari shuttle, please halt your approach immediately. Our defensive systems are now active, and any closer approach will be considered an attack. You dare threaten the Velkari Empire? Wu Jin shouted. We threaten no one, Commander. We are simply protecting ourselves according to our standard procedures. Wu Jin looked at his tactical display. The human ship's weapons were obviously more advanced than he had expected, but he was confident in Velkari's superiority. Fire warning shots at their ship. Show them what real weapons can do. The shuttle's plasma cannons fired 2 bright bolts toward the human vessel. Wu Jin expected to see the shots impact the hull and cause visible damage. Instead, something incredible happened. The human ship's point defense systems activated instantly. Dozens of small weapons fired precise bursts that intercepted the plasma bolts before they could reach the ship. The Velkari shots were destroyed completely, turned into harmless energy that scattered into space. What just happened? Wu Jin demanded. Sir, they intercepted our weapons fire. Our shots never reached their hull. That is impossible. Nothing can stop plasma cannon fire. Sir, according to our sensors, they fired 43 separate defensive shots in less than 2 seconds. Each shot was perfectly aimed to intercept our plasma bolts. Wu Jin stared at the readings in shock. The precision required for such defensive fire was beyond anything the Velkari military had achieved. Their best gunners might hit moving targets with 60% accuracy, but the humans had just demonstrated 100% accuracy while firing dozens of weapons simultaneously. Sir, message from the human ship. What do they want now? Captain Junho's voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath the politeness. Commander, we have just demonstrated our defensive capabilities. We do not wish to escalate this situation, but we will protect ourselves if necessary. Please withdraw to a safe distance so we can arrange proper diplomatic contact. Sir, what are your orders? Asked the shuttle pilot. Wu Jin looked at his instruments one more time. The human ship continued to track his shuttle with dozens of weapons. The energy readings from their shields showed power levels that matched major space stations, and their point defense demonstration had been flawless. Withdraw to minimum safe distance. Sir? You heard me, withdraw. As the Velkari shuttle moved away, Wu Jin sent an urgent message to his base. Command, we have a problem. The humans are not what we expected. Explain. Sir, their technology is advanced. Very advanced. Their ship has capabilities that match or exceed our own. That is impossible, Commander. Sir, I just watched them intercept plasma cannon fire with point defense systems. No one can do that. Continue monitoring from a distance. Do not engage further until Admiral Hyun-woo arrives. Understood, sir. As Woo-jin returned to the base, he tried to understand what had just happened. 3 months ago, intelligence reports had classified humans as primitive creatures, barely capable of spaceflight. But the ship he had just encountered was clearly the product of advanced technology and military thinking. How had the Empire's intelligence been so completely wrong? And if humans could build ships like this, what else could they do? On the human ship, Captain Jun-ho was asking himself similar questions about the Velkari. Their approach had been aggressive and threatening, but their technology seemed less advanced than human intelligence had suggested. Sir, analysis of their weapons is complete, reported his tactical officer. What did you find? Their plasma cannons are powerful but slow. Our point defense systems had no trouble tracking and intercepting them. Their shields are strong but inflexible, and their sensors are actually less sophisticated than ours. Are you certain? Yes, sir. Based on this encounter, our technological advantage is greater than we expected. 2 weeks had passed since Ambassador Dayun's first meeting with Velkari High Command. Now representatives from both civilizations sat around a circular table in the neutral space station that had been built specifically for these negotiations. The station itself was a symbol of cooperation, with human and Velkari engineers working together to complete it in record time. Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo looked across the table at his Velkari counterpart, diplomatic envoy, Yoon-ji. Both had spent years preparing for military conflict, but now they were learning the more complex art of building peace. Admiral, Yoon-ji said formally, we have reviewed your defense proposals. They are quite comprehensive. Thank you. Envoy, we believe that clear mutual defense agreements prevent misunderstandings that could lead to conflict. Chief Negotiator Seok-jin spread several documents across the table. The trade agreements are equally detailed. We propose technology exchange in 12 different areas. Trade Representative Young-hee studied the proposals carefully. These are generous terms. Perhaps too generous. What do humans gain from this arrangement? Seok-jin smiled. Envoy Young-hee, humans gain what we have always wanted. Peaceful expansion and scientific advancement. Your materials science could help us build better habitats. Your energy storage technology could improve our ships. In return, our manufacturing techniques could help you build more efficiently. But you already have superior military technology, Yoon-ji pointed out. Why do you need our help? Admiral Kyung-soo answered this question. Envoy, military technology is only one part of civilization. Yes, humans have become very good at building weapons and defenses. We had to, because our history taught us that survival requires constant preparation for conflict. You expect more wars? We hope for peace, but we prepare for war. It is an old human saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. Young-hee looked confused. That seems contradictory. It seems contradictory, but it works, Seok-jin explained. Nations that are strong enough to defend themselves are less likely to be attacked. Nations that are too weak to defend themselves become targets. So you built powerful militaries to avoid using them? Exactly. Yoon-ji considered this philosophy. It was very different from Velkari thinking, which focused on using military power to expand territory and resources. What about expansion? She asked. How do humans plan to grow without conquering others? Admiral Kyung-soo activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. We build new habitats instead of taking existing ones. Space stations, artificial worlds, mining operations in asteroid belts. There is room in the galaxy for many civilizations if they are willing to work for it. That requires enormous resources. Yes, but it avoids the costs of war. Building is cheaper than conquering, and it creates wealth instead of destroying it. Young-hee was studying human industrial reports. These production numbers are remarkable. How do you achieve such efficiency? Cooperation between many small units instead of relying on a few large ones, Seok-jin replied. We learned this approach through necessity. Human nations that could not cooperate effectively were conquered by those that could. So you competed with yourselves until you became very good at cooperation? That is one way to describe it. Yoon-ji leaned back in her chair. This is very different from Velkari history. We achieved unity through conquest. then expanded that unity to other species. Both approaches have advantages, Admiral Kyung-soo said diplomatically, but we think our approaches could complement each other well. How so? Valkyrie expertise in large-scale engineering projects, combined with human expertise in coordination and logistics. Together we could build things that neither civilization could achieve alone. Young-hee looked interested. What kind of things? Seok-jin activated another display. Faster-than-light communication network spanning the entire galaxy. Joint research stations studying dangerous phenomena that threaten all species. Cooperative exploration of distant galaxies. You think in very large terms. Humans have always been dreamers, Representative Young-hee, but we have also learned to make our dreams practical. The negotiations continued for hours, covering trade routes, technology sharing, joint military exercises, and cultural exchange programs. As the discussions progressed, both sides began to see possibilities they had not imagined. Admiral, Yoon-ji said during a break, I must ask a personal question. Are humans truly as peaceful as you claim? Your military capabilities suggest otherwise. Kyung-soo considered his answer carefully. Envoy, humans are not naturally peaceful. We are naturally competitive and sometimes aggressive, but we have learned that cooperation produces better results than conflict. How did you learn this? Through 8,000 years of warfare, we fought each other until we nearly destroyed our own planet. Eventually, we realized that our greatest enemy was our own tendency toward conflict. So you united against yourselves? We united despite ourselves. It was not easy and it took a long time. Even now, we have to work constantly to maintain cooperation. Young-hee joined the conversation. If cooperation is so difficult, how do we know this alliance will work? We do not know, Seok-jin admitted, but we believe it is worth trying. The alternative is continued competition and eventual conflict. And you would rather have us as allies than enemies? Representative, we would rather have everyone as allies than enemies. Conflict wastes resources that could be used for building better lives. Yoon-ji made her decision. Very well. The Valkyrie Empire agrees to the proposed alliance. Excellent, Admiral Kyung-soo replied. When should we sign the formal agreements? Immediately. There is no point in delay. As the documents were signed, Young-hee asked one final question. What happens now? Now we begin the real work, Seok-jin answered. Building trust, solving problems together, and showing the galaxy that advanced civilizations can cooperate. Will other species want to join this alliance? Some will not. But as more species see the benefits of cooperation, more will choose partnership over competition. Admiral Kyung-soo stood and extended his hand to Yoon-ji. Welcome to the future, Envoy. Thank you, Admiral. I hope we are making the right choice. Time will tell, but I believe we are. 6 months later, the first joint human Valkyrie patrol ship completed its maiden voyage. The vessel combined Valkyrie materials technology with human coordination systems, creating a spacecraft more advanced than either civilization could have built alone. Young-hee stood on the bridge of the joint patrol ship, watching as human and Valkyrie crew members worked together with practiced efficiency. The cooperation that had seemed impossible 6 months ago now felt natural. Any problems with the new crew integration? Asked Captain Lee Min-ho, the human commander. None significant, replied Valkyrie Sub-Commander Nalthor. Initial cultural differences were resolved through joint training programs. Seok-jin, who was observing the patrol as chief diplomatic liaison, smiled as he watched the mixed crew work. Representative Young-hee, what do you think of our progress? I think, negotiator, that this is just the beginning. The beginning of what? The beginning of a galaxy where species cooperate instead of competing. Other civilizations are already sending diplomatic inquiries. Which species? 12 so far. They want to know how we achieved cooperation between such different civilizations. Seok-jin nodded with satisfaction. And what do you tell them? I tell them the truth. That cooperation requires work, but it produces better results than conflict. Do they believe you? Some do. Others prefer to wait and see if our alliance really works. Captain Lee Min-ho called out from his station. Diplomatic team, we are receiving a message from the Hegemony Council. They are requesting a formal meeting to discuss mutual cooperation opportunities. Young-hee looked surprised. The Hegemony? They have never shown interest in cooperation before. Perhaps, Seok-jin said thoughtfully, they are beginning to realize that conquest is becoming more difficult. Because of our alliance? Because our alliance demonstrates that advanced species can achieve more through cooperation than conquest. It changes the balance of power in the galaxy. As the joint patrol ship continued its mission, sensors detected 3 more human Velkari construction teams working on new space stations in different systems. Trade routes established through the alliance were already showing increased traffic, and intelligence reports indicated that several other species were quietly developing their own cooperation agreements. The galaxy was changing. The age of conquest was ending, replaced by an age of cooperation and mutual benefit. Not all species would choose this path immediately, but the example set by humans and Velkari was already influencing civilizations across known space. Young He returned to her observations of the mixed crew. 6 months ago, she had been preparing for war with a species they thought was primitive. Now she was working alongside humans to build a better future for all species. Negotiator Seok Jin, she said quietly, I think we made the right choice. I agree, Representative. Though I suspect this is only the beginning of even greater changes. What kind of changes? The kind that happen when species realize they can achieve more by working together than by working alone. Outside the ship, stars that had once marked the boundaries between competing empires now served as navigation points for cooperative ventures.